What you are about to hear is not a top 10 disasters clickbait list. This is the real, unfiltered chronicle of the 20 darkest moments our species has ever endured. We're ranking them not just by body count, but by how completely they shattered civilizations, redrew maps, and scarred the human soul. Some lasted hours, others lasted centuries. All of them remind us how fragile everything we love truly is. If you're ready to stare into the abyss of history, stay with me. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, because this one is heavy. Let's begin. Number 20. 2010, Haiti earthquake. Tuesday, January 12, 2010, 4:53 in the afternoon. A 7.0 quake strikes just 25 kilometers from Port-au-Prince. In 35 seconds, more than 250,000 buildings collapse. The National Palace pancakes. The cathedral splits in half. Entire mountainsides of makeshift homes slide into ravines. No one agrees on the death toll. Official numbers say 100,000. Haitian government says 316,000. Some researchers insist it's closer to 500,000 when you count the missing. 3 million people, 1/3 of the entire country, were affected. Then came the cholera outbreak brought in by UN peacekeepers that killed another 10,000. 15 years later, downtown Port-au-Prince still looks like the earthquake happened yesterday. Haiti never recovered. 19. Bola cyclone. November 12, 1970, the deadliest tropical cyclone in recorded history. Winds over 200 kilometers per hour, a storm surge 10 meters high, taller than a 3-story building, races across the Ganges Delta. Entire islands are scrubbed clean. Salt water poisons the rice fields for years. Estimates range from 300,000 to 500,000 dead in a single night. Mostly women and children who couldn't run fast enough. The central government in West Pakistan sent 2 helicopters. That insult lit the match for the Bangladesh Liberation War 4 months later. Out of the water and the corpses, a new nation was born. 18. Antioch earthquake. Late May 526, the great city of Antioch, 3rd largest in the Roman world, is hit by a monstrous earthquake. Eyewitnesses said flames shot from cracks in the earth. Fires burned for days because there was no one left to fight them. 250,000 to 350,000 dead in 1 week. Emperor Justinian I cancelled taxes for the entire region and wore black in Constantinople for months. It remains one of the 10 deadliest earthquakes of all time. 17. Spanish flu, 1918 to 1920. It killed more people than the Black Death and both world wars combined. 50 to 100 million lives, 5% of the entire human population, in under 2 years. It loved healthy young adults. People woke up feeling fine, were dead by nightfall, turning blue from lack of oxygen. In Western Samoa, 22% of the population died. In some Inuit villages, every single adult. Philadelphia threw a parade for 200,000 people on September 28, 1918. By October, 12,000 Philadelphians were dead, and the city had run out of coffins. Then, as mysteriously as it came, it vanished. 16. HIV/AIDS pandemic. 1981 to present 42 million dead and still counting in 2025. At its peak in the early 2000s, a teacher in Zambia would attend 2 funerals every week. Life expectancy in Zimbabwe fell from 61 to 33 in less than a decade. Whole villages in South Africa became orphan cities run by 12-year-olds. Because of stigma, governments pretended it wasn't happening for years. It is the slowest moving catastrophe on this list, and the only one still killing today. 15. Great Irish Famine, 1845 to 1852. 1 million dead. Another million forced onto coffin ships to America and Canada. Ireland lost a quarter of its people in 7 years. The potato blighted, but food continued to leave the country. Grain, cattle, butter, guarded by British soldiers while children starved outside the gates. Skibbereen became a ghost town. Mass graves still sink when you walk across them. The Irish language almost died with them. Today, only 1% speak it as a first language. Every Irish person you meet abroad is a living echo of this famine. 14. Yellow River floods, 1931 and 1938. 1931, nature's worst flood, up to 4 million drowned. 1938, China deliberately blew the dikes to stop the invading Japanese army. It worked. The Japanese advance stalled for months. It also drowned somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million Chinese civilians and made 12 million homeless. The floodwaters did not fully recede until 1947. A river that is called China's Sorrow earned its name twice in 1 decade. 13. Bengal famine, 1943. 3 to 4 million Bengalis starved while British wartime policy hoarded rice. Churchill diverted ships carrying grain away from India to European stockpiles in case we needed. When Indian leaders begged for help, he wrote in the margin, "Why hasn't Gandhi died yet?" People sold their daughters for a few cups of rice. Photographs of skeletons crawling toward relief centers still burn the eyes. It was entirely man-made, entirely preventable, and almost entirely forgotten in the West. 12. Holodomor, Ukraine, 1932 to 1933. Stalin decided to break Ukrainian peasants and nationalism at the same time. Armed brigades went house to house, confiscating every grain, every potato, even seed corn for next year. People boiled leather shoes, ate grass, cats, dogs, and eventually each other. 4 to 7 million dead in 18 months. Soviet census takers who reported the truth disappeared. 33 countries now recognize the Holodomor as genocide. 11. Mongol conquest, 1206 to 1368. Genghis Khan and his heirs killed an estimated 40 to 70 million people, 11% of all humans alive in the 13th century. When they sacked Baghdad in 1258, the Tigris ran black with ink from millions of destroyed books and red with blood for days. In the city of Nishapur, they built pyramids of human skulls. Parts of China and Persia lost 90% of their population and didn't recover for 400 years. The Mongols didn't just conquer, they erased civilizations from the map. 10. Transatlantic slave trade, 1526 to 1867. Over 3.5 centuries, 12 to 20 million Africans were torn from their homes. 2 million died on the Middle Passage alone, chained so tightly they couldn't turn over, suffocating in their own waste. On arrival, the average life expectancy on a Brazilian or Caribbean sugar plantation was 7 years. The wealth generated built London, Lisbon, and New York, while Africa lost generations that were never replaced. This was not a tragedy. It was the largest forced migration and crime against humanity in history. 9. Conquest of the Americas, 1492 to 1700. Within 2 centuries, 90 to 95% of the indigenous population of the Americas, 50 to 100 million human beings, were dead. Smallpox, measles, influenza, diseases the people had never seen, did most of the killing. The city of Tenochtitlan had running water and street cleaning when London was still throwing feces out windows. By 1650, it was rubble and ghosts. This remains the single largest demographic collapse in human history. 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648. 8 million dead across Central Europe. Some German states lost 50 to 70% of their people to battle, famine, and plague. Mercenary armies lived off the land, meaning they burned every village that couldn't pay. Children born in 1618 were middle-aged before they saw peace. The war was so savage it gave us the modern laws of war and the concept of war crimes. 7. Mao's Great Leap Forward, 1958 to 1962. Mao Zedong wanted China to overtake Britain in 15 years. He ordered farmers to melt their plows into useless backyard steel and grow impossible grain quotas. 30 to 55 million people starved, the highest death toll of any event in human history. Cannibalism was documented in at least 7 provinces. When officials finally told Mao the truth, he replied, "When there is not enough to eat, people starve to death. It is better to let half the people die so that the other half can eat their fill." 6. World War I, 1914 to 1918. 20 million dead, 21 million wounded. Young men from 28 countries fed into machine guns and poison gas for 4 years. A single battle, the Somme, cost 1 million casualties for 5 miles of mud. The war killed 4 empires, redrew the map of Europe and the Middle East, and planted every seed that would grow into World War II. It was the day the 20th century lost its innocence. 5. The Black Death, 1347 to 1351, 75 to 200 million dead. In 4 years, half of Europe simply ceased to exist. Doctors wore bird-like masks stuffed with flowers because they thought the air itself was poison. Whole villages disappeared. Flagellant cults whipped themselves bloody in the streets. When it was over, there weren't enough peasants left to work the land, so serfdom collapsed and the modern world began. 4. Colonization of Australia and the near extinction of Aboriginal peoples, 1788 to 1930. 1788. Over 1 million Aboriginal people living in hundreds of nations with 60,000 years of continuous culture. By 1930, fewer than 70,000 left. Frontier massacres, poisoned flour, smallpox, stolen children, the stolen generations. The last full-blooded Tasmanian Aboriginal, Truganini, died in 1876, begging that her body not be displayed in a museum. It was anyway. 60,000 years of knowledge. How to live in the desert, how to navigate by stars, almost erased in 150 years. 3. The Holocaust, 1941 to 1945. 6 million Jews murdered, 2 out of every 3 European Jews alive in 1939, plus 5 to 11 million Roma, Slavs, disabled people, gay people, Jehovah's Witnesses, political prisoners. Auschwitz-Birkenau alone killed 1.1 million in factory-like gas chambers. Trains ran on schedule while the world looked away. It proved that a modern, educated nation could decide to exterminate an entire people and come terrifyingly close to succeeding. 2. World War II, 1939 to 1945. 70 to 85 million dead, 3% of the entire human population, more civilians than soldiers. From the rape of Nanking to the siege of Leningrad, from Dresden's firestorm to Hiroshima's flash. 6 million Jews in the Holocaust, 20 million Soviet citizens, millions more across Asia. It ended only when 2 atomic bombs convinced humanity it had finally invented a way to end itself completely. 1. European colonization of the Americas, 1492 onward. This is not one event, it is 4 centuries of apocalypse. 100 million indigenous people, possibly more, dead across 2 continents. 90 to 95% population loss. Empires that built cities larger than Paris, that practiced brain surgery while Europe burned witches, gone. The silver from Potosi killed millions of forced miners and funded Europe's rise. The world we live in today, its borders, its languages, its inequalities, was built on this mountain of skulls. By every possible measure, lives lost, cultures erased, long-term consequences, this is the greatest catastrophe in human history. We survived every single one of these horrors, but barely. And the worst truth of all, most of them were not acts of God. They were choices. Which one broke you the most? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this video made you feel something real, do 3 things right now. Like, subscribe, turn on the bell. We tell the stories history wants to forget. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.